All right, peace and much love, Zin Uru here. Welcome to the latest installment of Message from the Minister. Yo, first let's just start off and welcome everybody here. Thank you for being here across all time and across all space. To seeing everybody here, right now in spirit in this place. This is a perfect introduction to what I want to talk about tonight. And the title of this message from the Minista is The Mystical Inner City. The Mystical Inner City. And if you notice, that's an acronym for the MIC, the mic. And what is the microphone, you know? The microphone just amplifies what is the microphone of the real MC, which is the mic of the real MC, which is the voice of the MC speaking the mystical inner city out into existence. And if you're a hip hopper, you are an MC. Whether you're an MC who's mastered the craft of like rapping and rhyming and rocking a party, or you're on your spiritual path and you're mastering the sound vibration of your word power. Because the only way to really master the vibrationatory skills of your inner city is to be in tune with the inner man or the inner woman, the inner persona, the sound, the pre-sound, the per sound that you sound out, that you sound forward of who you are. And so while as an MC myself, I love to grab a microphone and rock a party, I love to rhyme, but also on a deeper meaning. And if you go on reading the definitions, the definition of the MC, you'll see it's divine speech. I've used it as another analogy too, and the MIC, the mystical inner city. Let's go into even another analogy as well that we've talked about in the past. Because as we get these different visions, we don't just want to limit ourselves to one way of seeing and being, because our creative faculty to influence, to give life into this thing outside of us, to rearrange our environment to fit our needs and our people, and for our future generations, and to build hip-hopia in the outer world, we should have a multifaceted view of what we are capable of. And so we're rapping, bam, 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 and we're speaking the divine word, and it's going out and it's reverberating back to us. That's one aspect of it, and that's a powerful aspect, the power of the spoken word, because the power of the spoken word, where it really matters the most, is the resounding effect it has when it hits other people's ears. Ask Martin Luther King. The power that he had when he spoke, "I have a dream," when he spoke those words, it did vibrate the environment around him, but it really vibrated the people around. And so what those people is, that everybody who's heard that word since on audio, or who was there, who was present when it was happening, has those words resounding within themselves. Well, those who are in tune with that, those who are in tune with the voice of the King. And then we begin vibrating, which is our water body. Remember, I'm getting deep on this one. This is the mystical inner city. We might as well get deep with it. Our water body starts vibrating at that frequency, at that consciousness, and that affects our environment around us too. So it's very important, not just what we say, but with what we think, and even more important than what we think, what we feel. Because it is what we feel. And then we can speak those feelings, and then we can feel those feelings, and we can think those thoughts that enhance those feelings. And the spoken word, there's the multi-dimensional nature of this reality. One of the other examples, when we're talking about the core four elements, breaking, MCing, graffiti, and DJing, like the artistic elements, is that I always say this, it's like, imagine you're a spray paint can, okay? And these are your shoulders, and from down here is the can. And then your head is the nozzle, and your mouth, more accurately, your mouth is the nozzle, but your head is the cap, okay? That's why we wear caps, right? And so somebody that had me going on the cap in Star Wars and that whole thing, like, wow, I'm not even gonna go there. But check out the movie Star Wars, and there's a character named Cap who's redeemed, but you don't see it in the original movie, okay? Like, you gotta get the special edition, I'll put it up here. And they show Cap was, he used to go over tag his name Cap, and his art wasn't dope back then, but he would tag his name Cap, and he would ruin other people's murals and other people's bombers and everybody's mural, everybody's graffiti art up on the walls. He would go over their burners, I mean, and he would ruin the beauty of the graffiti art. And so you go forward into this special edition, and you see Cap older, and he's meeting with one of the other graffiti artists. I think it was Doze, somebody else from Star Wars, and he's like, they meet face to face like they're going to battle, but Cap talks about how he was when he was younger, and how you could see he takes his artwork serious as an artist, and he has regret, he has remorse, he's repented from who he was when he was younger. And to me, I love that story, because like we as humans have got to remember the power of redemption, because the world is so judgmental that it's almost like in the mainstream, nobody's allowed to be redeemed anymore, okay? That's a little side piece. So back to the main schedule. Okay, so we're spitting out our words, we're speaking our words, and they're resounding back to us. We're feeling the vibration. When we're speaking, the word is resounding from other people. They're feeling the vibration, and we're feeling that vibration. It's affecting our outer reality. And so now here we become a spray paint can, right? And all of this inner reality is like the paint, and God is the finger, and can. God's like holding us like a spray paint can, like, and my name's Zin Uru means the promised land, because I feel at home wherever I stand. I grab the MIC like a Krylon can, and I spray hip hop is the promised land. That was the lyric I was looking for. I grab the MIC, mystical inner city, like a Krylon can, and I spray hip hop is the promised land. See, so it's like, I'm saying hip hop is the promised land, look at this wall. This is the promised land right here, right? Hip hop is the promised land. Because I had to speak to some degree. All of these had to be spoken to. Like my word had to come out. Like when I bought these two were sitting at a 7-Eleven. I'm walking to 7-Eleven to grab an orange juice. And this is down in Los Angeles, and this is part of the mystical inner city experience, right? And this is where reality, and we're gonna look up the word mystical and mysterious tonight, because it's really fun, because you just start walking in this reality where these seemingly random events just happen. So we're on tour. I'm in LA, and I walk by, and like in the corner, there's like these posters. And I see this like parchment paper that says, I've been to the mountaintop. I'm like, what? I just said, I've been, and I could see this one sticking out, and I pulled them out. It's Martin Luther King's posters. And they were like, I don't know, these were like $15 a piece at 7-Eleven, but I looked at them, I snatched them up quick and held on to those and was moving around a lot with them, but I just kept them with me everywhere I went as a sacred object, as something that was set aside, to be guarded and protected. I didn't just like throw them in the back of the car and throw stuff on top of them, let them get smashed and broken. Like they got taken well care of. And it was almost 2 years from purchasing them until it slowed down enough to finally get them up, the posters and hanging them up on the wall. But even that word, that spoken word, hip hop is the promised land. I said this in a rhyme. I said, I grabbed the MIC, the mic, the mystical inner city too, like a Krylon can. Krylon, Krylon is spray paint. And I spray hip hop is the promised land, okay? And then these pop up in my environment, I don't know, a year later after I spit that onto a song. And man, that's the truth right there. So I spit it out, and then they appeared in my environment. I could see them in my environment. And not just that, all over the environment, the promised land. So what this lesson is about tonight, and really what this message is about tonight, is the power of our spoken word, what we feel, what we think, who we are. And really the power is from the mystical inner city. We're going to read from the fifth overstanding in the Gospel of Hip Hop tonight, the inner city, about 4 or 5 pages tonight. And that's going to be the only reading tonight. Oh, and we got a couple of definitions to go on. But what we're going to see is that, they say thoughts become things, and that's one of the ideas here. But this is so much deeper than that. Because, I give credit where the credit is due, and I thought the movie The Secret did a great job. As a matter of fact, when The Secret came out, I called myself Zin Uru for like 2 years, and I got my name Zin Uru from the emerald tablets of Thoth. And when The Secret came out, you see them taking a etching of the code X from the emerald tablets of Thoth at the very beginning of The Secret. So I was blown away. So I think that movie was great. I do think it's for we got it as adults. I do think it's more for children. 7 and 8 year old could watch The Secret and really get the work. I watched it with my kids. It was dope. But we got a lot of this knowledge later in life, some of us. But they don't really get into the deeper aspects of thoughts becoming things, because for us as hip hop, as a wholly integrated people, have an omnipresent power. We want to be able to come into the holiness, into the holy sanctuary of our inner being, of our innermost being, into our God nature. Tune in with our Creator, tune in with the purpose that our Creator gave us, and then begin reverberating that out. And that requires a level of reverence, of being reverent towards that sacred space called God, called the Spirit. And so much of today's modern spirituality wants to get away from that. Okay? And that's by design. That's by design. Like if you know who owns Barnes and Noble, you'll know why they allow certain books in there and why they don't allow other books in there, why they promote certain beliefs and why they discourage other beliefs. So when it comes to spirituality, I kind of consider myself old school like that. And not old school in the traditional, old school Christian sense, but just old school, ancient sense. Because when we have reverence for all of creation, not what everybody's doing. I don't have high reverence for the debauchery that's going on and for the promoters of debauchery who are intentionally harming people. I understand I have reverence for the entire event and what the entire event means for the consciousness and evolution of humanity. However, I don't consider that sacred, other than it's going to lead back to the sacred eventually. But it's debauchery. But my response to that should be sacred. I should be coming from the holy place within in any response to anything. And I'll be the first to admit, I've been trained by the world. I grew up in this world. My responses have not always been holy or integrated. They were on an evolutionary level, but there's been times in my life where I knew the power of the spoken word, and I got angry, and I'd speak angry words, or I speak words that I would regret later on and have to repent from later on. And so the point being there is don't ever feel a certain way about where you are, because we are all being perfected. That is what perfection is. We are always being perfected. It's a constant state of moving and being that's being perfected. So take those mistakes and turn them into wisdom. And then from the misuse of the spoken word, we can learn the proper use of the spoken word. And the spoken word being the thoughts that we're speaking in our head. We have control over our thinking, which also means we have control over our feeling. Food is mood. Okay, so sometimes we eat the wrong things and we feel a certain way. We might feel depressed because of the food we ate. But if you know and you say, wait, this depression isn't really from something I'm feeling about individuals or circumstances or worry or regret. This depression is just a weird feeling. Oh, it's from the food? Okay. Well, body, we're processing some depressing food. Let's drink some water. Let's pray over it. But we don't have to attach thoughts to the depression that food is causing. Okay? Follow? But when we are in tune, we can say, wow, I'm feeling depressed because I actually feel like God doesn't have my back right now. And I know that's not true. Like, why would I even believe that God doesn't have my back, but I'm feeling that way right now? Let me pray over it. God, why do I feel like you don't got my back right now? Like I'm willing to learn because I know I'm like, why don't I feel that way? I should be able to feel that way. I know you've proven over and over again, God, that you got my back. If anybody has my back, it's God, you know? And so I'm feeling depressed though. God, like, are you ain't looking out for me right now? And then God would be like, yo, I'm always looking out for you. This is what it is. And you feel that comfort. But see how the thoughts are? Start examining the thinking that we're going through. And a great time to do this is before we go to sleep and when we wake up. And when we wake up from a dream or we wake up in the middle of the night disturbed, just start repeating over and over and over and over solid mantras. And when you repeat them in your head and send them to your heart and your whole body, like, I'll tell you, I've had places where I feel like I'm just being attacked by demons, right? I was like, yo, man, I'm having all these crazy thoughts. I'm waking up with what's going on. And all of a sudden I start going, I am love. God created me to be love. I am at the soul of all creation. I am perfect love. God loves me perfectly. I am the child of God. I am the sacred heart of eternal life. I am the son of creation. I am the sound of God. I am the light of my world. I am the living light. I am the light shining in the darkness. And you start saying those words and meaning them. And even if you don't mean them, say them and say, I'm saying this with intention. I am the pure intention. I am my purest intention, forming vibration in my sound frequency. Like you just start getting creative with it. And the inner MC, the mystical inner city, the mic that's on the inside, that just starts reverberating around in the body. And then all of a sudden the depression goes away. And then you get really good at it to where random things is hitting you and you just transmuting them, you know? You transmuting them. Because remember, sometimes and a lot of times, like not Agent Smith, let's use okay, I got two ideas here. Okay, in The Flash, they're called they're like, if you've seen the TV show the TV show The Flash, and when he goes into the Speed Force, they have these demons that follow him around for breaking the laws of the Speed Force, right? And so it's like you hit into that God force sometimes, and these demons from other people start chasing you. You start shining your light. When we read Endarkenment last week, you start shining your light, and then the demons can see you too, right? This other one in the Harry Potter, like the Dementors, like they got these characters in Harry Potter, and they're these like shadow beings, and they come up, but it's not a creation of you. It's not a creation of Harry in the movie. It's a creation of somebody else. They're somebody else's demons. So don't always think that when you're feeling a certain way that they're your demons you're dealing with. Like, you start speaking out against the powers that want to be. You start speaking the truth. There's like the beings of this matrix, like the Agent Smiths come out of the woodwork, and not always as real people, but as ideas in your body, in your mind. But when you speak and you know that center power, if they're coming from you or if they're coming from somewhere else, I am God, I am grace, I am love. Thank you, great God, for all that you are with me. Thank you for this love, God. Thank you for keeping me protected, God. I am pure protection. I am the light. I am the invincible, eternal light of God. I am the resounding nature and power of God, the invincible, eternal nature of being. I am the breath of life itself. You see how that happens, and all of a sudden it just starts creating that vibratory field, and it just starts creating that inertia within our vortex. Well, Abraham Hicks calls it the vortex, but we call it the toroidal field, right? Like this magnetic field, like the body's magnetic field. That's what the magnetic field is, right? And it's just whoom, 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 whoom. And when we're empowering that magnetic vibration, whoom, 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 like there's no evil that can touch you. There's no fear that can touch you. Okay? And we all make mistakes, okay? But that's that inquisitory, like the Spanish, like the Inquisition, like we hear all this, like I don't even know if that really happened, to be honest with you. Like the last Great Reset was like in the early 1800s, and so everything since then's been a lie. Like so much has been a lie. They're just covering over an entire civilization. So a lot of the history they give us pre-1800s is false. What they call the Inquisition, when they were just torturing people and burning them for not believing in God or their version of God. And like that's traumatic for the human consciousness. And so we think, oh, I did this wrongdoing. I have to suffer forever. Oh, I'm just always going to be, oh, I'm born into sin. Well, yeah, but no. Like we're born into this earth where if you're born into sin, then you're born into grace. And if you're born into sin, then you're born into redemption. And if you're born into sin, then you're born into love. So like to just say, oh, I'm born into sin, and then that's your total reality. Well, good luck living that, because there's a whole other reality that I was born into the breath of life of God. Even according to, they're trying to say the Bible tells me I was born into sin, but it also tells me that God raised Adam through the breath of life. So I must be the breath of life. So let's broaden our horizons here from the colonizer and really get back to our inner being, our mystical inner city, and our true nature. And this is the most sovereign place ever. Like your sovereignty here, like the oppressive system, right? This force keeps oppressing to where, it wants to know what you're thinking inside the house. It's listening through all these devices in the house, from the smart TV to 3 or 4 cell phones to the 4 computers, probably through this camera, like anything that can go online, they're listening. They have robots and shit that's listening, like AI that's listening, right? Although I don't believe AI that's a fallacy. There's nothing intelligent about a computer. It's computation. It's just high-level computation. It's not intelligence. And we're not computers. We're living, organic, spiritual beings, resounding consciousness through water bodies. So don't let them fool you. So we're dealing with all of this outside force since we've been little. We've been dealing with all of these lies since we've been little. And I think that, if there's anything in the message from the minister, it's like it took me many years to get to these conclusions, but really these conclusions are really basic. I'm talking like some basic shit here now. But that's how God works. God removes away all this other hoopla and all this jargon and all this other stuff, and really gets down to the heart of the matter, which is our sovereignty of who we are in our being. And they can keep pushing. They can listen with all the computers, and they can do all this stuff. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to manipulate our internal being through microwave frequencies, through extremely low frequencies, through the cell towers, and through these phones and through these routers and things like that. It's very deceptive what they're doing, but they're trying to disrupt our inner being. But the thing is, it's like universal law snaps quick. And so as they try and hit that, it's going to be a resounding no. It is for me. It's a resounding nope. This is my sovereign space within who I am, is my sovereignty. And every day my sovereignty expands outside of me. It expands from in your body to outside the body, to outside your house, out to where you are sovereign, and you just know you're a sovereign being. And then that sovereignty carries over when the consciousness leaves this water body and travels into the other water body that God has already prepared, the crystalline, crystallographic, the crystal body that we will eventually have. I knew I was going to get deep on this one. This is where my mind's at. And I know this is where the planets are at. I know that this is just what it is this week. Wow. Let's look at this word up here. Let's put mystery up here, and then we'll look at mystical. Yeah, these are good definitions. I thought these were kind of interesting. It kind of surprised me, actually, especially this mystery one. Mystery became a mystery. All right. Mystery. Definition number 1. Something that is not fully understood or that baffles or eludes the understanding. An enigma. Okay, because I'm telling you right now, I'm putting words to this mysterious force that caused the Martin Luther King documents to show up at 7-Eleven right when I needed them. Like that was, like I'm telling you how it happened. My name is Zin Uru means the promised land. Or I said, I grabbed the MIC like a Krylon can and I spray hip hop as the promised land. And then all of a sudden, a year later, those appear in my environment. Well, that's the best way I can describe a phenomenon that's actually very mysterious, although I know the mystery. We know the mystery, but it's still mysterious. I mean, that's amazing to think about. That we speak something, and then a year later, it pops up in our environment. And I'm not just saying that me speaking that those were the only 2 things that popped up in my environment. All the mysteries, ever since I've been saying my name's Zin Uru, it means the promised land, because I feel at home wherever I stand. Like all of those empowering affirmations cause mysterious things to happen in the environment. And this is what I want to impart on everyone here, is that it's mysterious, but it starts with faith, and it starts with faith. And I'm showing you, I'm saying like, this is my experience with it. And this is my creative visualization. When you really tune in, you might be inspired by this, but your creative visualization will be your unique expression of it. Okay? So it's not just about what I'm saying, it's the spirit that it's being said in. And this is where the mystery comes in. Something that is not fully understood or that baffles or eludes the understanding, an enigma. Definition number 2, a mysterious character or quality. And I like this definition. Shout out to the homie landscaper out there, bro. A landscape with mystery and charm. A mysterious character or quality. Like, I was just thinking about this on the desert side. If you go to the western, like the western side of the Los Angeles area, Southern California, and you go to the western side that touches into Nevada, and you drive up through there, it's like this desert. And if you go in the daytime, it's desert. But when the sun starts setting or the sun goes down and all that ultraviolet pink light floods the valley, and there's just all of these greens and blues, and it's so mysterious, the color that the landscape becomes. It's beautiful. I was just astounded by the beauty, and it lasted for like 40 minutes of driving as the sun was setting, and I just absorbed every moment of it, because you get these moments like that in life that you may not ever see again, or may only see a few times, and absorb those. Absorb the mystery when it presents itself. Definition number 3. Oh, we know this one. A work of fiction, drama, or film dealing with a puzzling crime. Conspiracy videos are also like that. They're great mysteries. Like they're uncovering the mysteries of how things got to where they are. Often mysteries. The skills, lore, or practices that are peculiar to a particular activity or group and are regarded as the special province of initiates. And look at what they do. This is, I'm just going to say that, the American Heritage Dictionary is a Freemason dictionary, okay? Like there's Oxford English, same thing. Like these are Freemason books. This is their knowledge that we're reading from. But since we're hip hop, we can see it with our unique sight and reinterpret their misinterpretations. Sorry guys, but that's just what they do. But look at this, the mysterious, they even put this in their own thing. The mysteries of Freemasonry, the mysteries of cooking game. But look at, they put the mysteries of Freemasonry in their book right there because they consider themselves a mystery school, and that's what they are. The mysteries of I'm not going to get into their whatever. But look at that, the skills, lore, or practices that are peculiar to a particular activity or group and are regarded as the special province of initiates. A church group, I've been to church group where somebody was needing supernatural healing, and I was very young, and we did what we called in Christian church, laying hands on somebody. And you go and the congregation, or 10 of us, or who's ever in that prayer group, everybody puts a hand on that person and closes their eyes. And then the pastor or whoever the group, the prayer leader is, will say a prayer for that person. And then we all just, it's healing vibes into the person who needs healing. And it works. I've witnessed miraculous healings of people. I've witnessed so many miraculous healings across many faiths that it's the faith itself that is the healer. But that's an initiate, you get initiated into that. So the church is not exempt from the mysteries either. And wouldn't you have it? Here we go. Theology, a religious truth that is incomprehensible to the reason and knowledge only through divine revelation. See, like that religious truth of what is happening, like we could describe it through physics almost now, but it's a miracle that's happening. That's a mystery. It's beyond comprehension. Like we could think we know so much about life and the nature of life and when life began and how we got here. Woo, this is a mystery. Just the eyeball, how an eyeball works is a mystery. Just the way water works, that's a mystery. Like it's still a mystery. The way magnets work, we think we know. We know a lot about magnetism, but it's still a mystery. How these forces draw each other together. Definition 6a, an incident from the life of Jesus, especially the incarnation, passion, crucifixion, or resurrection of particular importance for redemption. That's called the mysteries of Jesus, the mystery of life. His incarnation, his passion, his crucifixion, and his resurrection. We could call it in modern terms the hero's quest. Like Jesus is the ultimate hero's quest of particular importance for redemption. Wow. Definition 6b, and this is the Roman Catholic Church mystery, one of the 15 incidents from the lives of Jesus or the Blessed Virgin Mary, such as the Annunciation or the Ascension, serving as the subject of meditation during recitation of the Rosary. So, that's a deep one. And you might want to ask one of your Roman Catholic friends to describe that to you. I've witnessed a very wonderful woman, a very devout Catholic woman pray, but it was such a personal prayer. And it was so powerful, and I watched the mysteries work through her in such a profound way, but I just choose not to speak of that because it was such a personal incident, and I wouldn't want to put that up here on recording. But I do talk about it sometimes in person. But so she was a worker of the mysteries because she would pray over and meditate on the ascension of Jesus, on the Annunciation of Jesus, and the Blessed Virgin Mary. Like she prayed over those mysteries, and God revealed to her the mysteries. Definition 7a, one of the Christian sacraments, especially the Eucharist, that's the transformation of eating and drinking. I won't get into that one. That takes a long time to explain. 7b, the mysteries, the consecrated elements of the Eucharist. Really, the Eucharist is about the transformative power of the Christ and the Word in the blood. It's not drinking the blood of Christ. It's the vibratory frequency of Christ in the blood, in the electromagnetic body, in the water body of the individual. That's the real Eucharist. That's the Word of God. That's the Word of God. That's what we're talking about here. Not what the colonizer turned it into. Sorry. Definition 8a, a religious cult practicing secret rites to which only initiates are admitted. All kinds of secret societies, that's the mysteries that they come in with. And this doesn't say right or wrong. This doesn't say good or evil on any of this. You got to know. A secret rite of such a cult, Middle English, mysteriae from Latin, mysterium from Greek, mysterion, secret rite, from mustis, or initiate, from muin, to close the eyes, initiate. Okay, that is deep. The mysteries are found by closing the eyes through meditation, affirmation, prayer, sleep. Like I said, when you're closing your eyes, you'll find the mysteries. When I meditate, I close my eyes and all of a sudden mysteries are revealed. Mysteries about you and your nature are revealed in that time and space. Take some time to meditate. All right, now we have mystic. Of or relating to religious mysteries. See, that's why I wanted to do mystery first. So we see the mysterious is the unexplainable. The unexplainable, an enigma, a revelation. Of or relating to religious mysteries or occult rites and practices. This is mystic. Of or relating to mysticism or mystics. Inspiring a sense of mystery and wonder. And this is the mystical inner city. It inspires a sense of mystery and wonder. Mysterious, strange, enigmatic, obscure, mystical, mystic, noun, one who practices or believes in mysticism or a given form of mysticism. Protestant mystics. What? There were Christian mystics? Oh. See how they're giving everything away in these dictionaries when you read them. They're giving it all away. Talk about them Christian mystics. Go research them. They try to erase them, especially from Europe. Europe went to Africa and learned the mysteries of the risen Savior. Get it, get it, get it. The Middle East is in Africa. So, if you go to Europe and you see how close Spain and Africa and Europe are through the Strait of Gibraltar there. Like you could see both shores on a boat. So them trying to raise us that like all of a sudden like Europeans and Africans just found each other sometime around slavery is a complete, utter, stupid, ignorant, deceptive lie. All of us were learning from one another, traveling all over this earth. And Europeans heard about the living Christ and went to learn in the Middle East, which is in Africa. Not on some colonizing, stealing. This is respect of the highest level. Middle English, mystic, from Latin, mysticus, from Greek, mystikos, from mysterion, the secret rite. See, mystery. That's why we read mystery earlier. Here comes our word, mystical, because this is called the mystical inner city. Now this is the essence of the inner city right here. This is the essence of the message right here. Of or having a spiritual reality or import not apparent to the intelligence or senses. You got to get out of your own way. We got to stay out of our own way for this to happen. I grab the MIC like a Krylon can and I spray hip hop as the promised land. And then the promised land appears. That's the mystical. It's a spiritual reality of import, but it's just not apparent to the intellectual senses of how it really happens. It just happens. You know a little bit, you know the secrets, you know the mysteries of it, but it's still mysterious. Like when the license plate pops up that says your name on it, right when you needed it. That's the word, okay. You start seeing those random numbers that all of a sudden are in your environment speaking to you. How did God line up license plates? I'll give you an example real quick. I was driving one night. I was speeding. I was just listening to some music. I didn't realize I was speeding. And I saw a cop behind me, and I knew he had seen me. I was on the Bay Bridge in San Francisco late at night or early in the morning, really like 3 a.m. leaving a show, and I wanted to get home. And so I was like, man, my heart started beating. I was like, oh man, I'm going to get a ticket. And then a car goes flying by me, and the license plate said, for Uru, for U-R-U. And the cop lights hit that. The highway patrol pulled him over and gave him a ticket. For Uru? For me? Like, I can't even explain how that matrix worked and how it all just lined up, that the mystery of this outer event, of this outer reality lined up, and a car took a ticket for me. A random car said, with my name on the back of it, Uru. I can't even make this up, the mystical experiences. Like my whole life is a mystical experience. Your whole life is a mystical experience, and it has been from day one. So tune into that part that you've already known as the mystical experience. It's right here with us all the time. Mystical, of or having a spiritual reality or import not apparent to the intelligence or senses. Of relating to or stemming from direct communion with ultimate reality of God. Woo! Woo! That is a great definition. I got to give credit where credit's due. Mystical. Definition number 2, of relating to or stemming from direct communion with ultimate reality or God. Do you see what is in the dictionary? Do you see the truth that is being spoken here? Amongst the media's lies, amongst all of their, is God exist? Does God not exist? We don't know. Science doesn't know. Right here. Of relating to or stemming from direct communion with ultimate reality or God. Wow. Wow. Don't miss that one. This is direct communion with ultimate reality. This is the mystical inner city. Of or founded on subjective experience. Whew! Not objective experience. Not just hearing about it, but literally subjectively experiencing it. And this is what we say when we say hip-hop is a subjective experience. When I say I am hip-hop, I am the experience I am having. I know hip-hop and I can speak about hip-hop because I am the experience itself. I am the thing itself. Nobody can define to me who I am because I am the experience of the self. I am the subject of my reality, and my reality is a mystical inner city everywhere I go. So be empowered. This might be the most empowering word I have read yet. Mystical. Of or founded on subjective experience. The subject of your experience, my nobility. You are the sovereign subject of your experience. Definition number 4, or relating to mystic rites or practices. Unintelligible, cryptic, that's mystical as well. We can look at mysticism. Immediate consciousness of the transcendent or ultimate reality of God. Woo! Man, they are not playing with these definitions. Immediate consciousness of the transcendent or ultimate reality of God. Definition 1b, the experience of such communion as described by mystics. Oh, that's a beautiful one right there. Because all of a sudden it's like you have this mystical experience and then you realize what somebody was saying in ancient times. It's deep. A belief in the existence of realities beyond perceptual or intellectual apprehension that are central to being and directly accessible by subjective experience. Whew! Say that one again. Wow. I read these earlier and I was blown away, but I'm just like, this is an important word. A belief in the existence of realities beyond perceptual or intellectual apprehension that are central to being and directly accessible by subjective experience. That is hip hop. Hip hop is our belief in the existence of a reality beyond perceptual or intellectual apprehension. That's hip hop is consciousness. Yeah, we can see it, we can say it, but the way it works in our reality, it's beyond intellectual apprehension. Like we can't just apprehend, we can't just say, oh, I understand the way all the mysteries work. No, you experience it, and that's the understanding right there. The overstanding is the experience, the subjective experience itself. It's beyond the intellect. It's into being and feeling and knowing and so much more. And once again, that's the subjective experience because you're experiencing something nobody can tell you different. When you've experienced the mystical, ain't nobody can tell you different. Mysticism, vague, groundless speculation. I'm not even sure what they were trying to say there at the end. Like maybe a hater tagged that on at the end. I don't know. But yeah, that last one. Wow. The mystical inner city beyond comprehension. These things that just happen. The mysteries of the universe. Like, be really careful with this. And I'll tell you why to be careful with it. Because if you use it for evil, it will bounce back quick on you. If you use it for good, as we'll read, it will reverberate goodness back to you. Okay? That's just how it is. That's just how it works out. So this is where the inner work goes first. This is why I work on the inner person first. And then it will automatically just begin resounding to the outer experience itself. And have faith and have courage in you being you. You are you. And you'll see it. You've seen it your whole life. Children live in a mystical experience, especially before the computer and before the cell phone and before kids got plugged into the matrix, immediately jumping out of the womb, start texting at the age of 3 or whatever, looking at the iPad at 1, you know. Like kids, like we didn't have that even when my kids were young. They didn't have a lot of that growing up. So I would watch their mystical experiences. You'd hear them in the room talking to somebody and laughing, and it'd just be so fun. And they'd go out and watching their imagination at work and seeing when they would see a bug or seeing a new animal for the first time and watching life through their eyes and then remembering when I was a child and the mysteries and, you know. And this is why we want to provide a safe environment for the kids. Like there's so much darkness. I witnessed so much darkness as a kid. Like so much evil, so much, it's necessary to transmute. But to say, hey, this system that we were born into ain't working. Not for us, it don't work. We need our own city. We need our own system. We need to return back to the true nature of God and to the true purpose of our creation. I mean, it was dark. You know, I look back at my childhood, but I also look back at the darkness, at all the light, the mystical experiences I would have as a child. Angels would come visit me in the room, or ancestors, or these beings and dreams and visions and just so much. And that's what I'm saying, like the mystical experience, that's life itself. This is a sacred mystical experience. This is the mystery itself. how we got here, we might think we know because we come up with a little formula in our head to try and make some sense out of the utter mystery that this is. This is incredible that we exist. That's incredible that we have consciousness that can say words and hear words and interact and build and create and then know that there's other lives and other existences beyond this one and the wind and the rain and the water and the food and the dirt and the fire. The mysteries of fire. Woo! See the mystery in your day-to-day life. See the mystery within you first. And then you'll see the mystery everywhere you go. You'll be at Walmart seeing the mystery. You'll be at 7-Eleven picking up your pieces of your promised land, of your archive at 7-Eleven. I'm going to laugh when somebody tells me a 7-Eleven story that they experience after hearing this message from the Minista, and they go to 7-Eleven and find a piece of their archive when they're not even looking for it. That's the key. It's just going to bing and just boom. I'm going to laugh when you tell me that story. And it could be anywhere else, but somebody specifically going to be 7-Eleven. But it could be Walmart. It could be the Chinese food spot. It could be a random gas station anywhere. It could be a CD found in a used car you just bought. Okay? One time it was so funny. It's so funny. I bought this Monte Carlo from dude, and it was dope. It was a Monte Carlo, it was a super sport, and I called the dude and I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy this car from you. I'm just gonna come get it. I'm not even gonna haggle with the price. I talked to him about it. I knew he'd taken care of it. He told me everything. He knew more about the car than I did. I did a lot of research on it. I knew about the car, and so I picked it up, right? And he goes, oh, let me grab some stuff out of the back of the car. And he opens it up, and there's a big box of cassettes in there. And he's got like Ice Cube's death certificate. He's got PE, Fear of a Black Planet. He's got Run DMC in there. I was like, yo, you got Run DMC? Big Daddy Kane, like Rakim, like it was just like loaded. And I was like, yo, that's a hip hop brother right there, you know? And he's like, yo, that's my shit right there. He goes, my wife doesn't understand why I hold on to these old cassettes. I was like, I understand why you do. But I said, why you got them in the trunk of the car? Because if you know anything about cassette tapes in the trunk of a car, they get too hot and they can get melted. And he's like, no, they only been there for the afternoon. Okay, so anyway, but that wasn't the mystical experience. So I'm driving home in the Monte Carlo. I'm like, that was a sweet ride, man. And I didn't bring any CDs with me. I was like, oh, man. And so I hit eject, and there was a CD in it. And it was Abraham Hicks. And I put it in. And sure enough, on my drive home, I'm listening to the Abraham Hicks, and it's just the message I needed at that exact moment. It was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. And that's the mystical inner city. That's the promised land, is the mystical inner city. It's the same thing. This is hip hop. This is the reality of God nature. This is just what we walk in. These are not random things. This is how it works. The miracle is always here. It's always the miracle. It's always the mystical. It's always the mysterious. It's always peace, love, and unity and having fun. It's always health, love, awareness, and wealth. It's always peace and prosperity. But it doesn't always feel like that because we're not in tune with that. But it's always there when we tune back in, when we get our frequency dialed back in. Now, the frequency dialing back in, that's not easy. This is where the tools of the mystery come in. This is where something like the gospel of hip hop becomes the most valuable asset, the most valuable tool that you have. Because you can read through that and get the metaphysics, and the metaphysics begin describing the mystery in the language that you understand, that's written for us because it is us. And then the teacher's written it in such a way, he's saying, this is the mystery as it's revealed itself to me of hip hop. And then you start reading it and you just start experiencing the mystery outside the environment. And then I come along and just say, yep, that's what it is. I read the book, I was learning the mysteries, and the mysteries opened up, and now everywhere I go, hip-hop is the promised land, just like the teacher said, just like Martin Luther King said, just like all the ancients, and this is what it is. But it's describing something specific that when we get back to the beginning of what I was talking about, this requires reverence for the holy. This is not for the profane. This is not for the debauchery. This is for the perfection of God. This is where we really need to go for our children and start seeing this as a mystery. But then, what we have to do when we have reverence, we then take responsibility for what this is. We take responsibility for how we feel. We take responsibility for the words we speak, for the thoughts we think, for the actions that we take. And then when we take that responsibility, we teach it to our children, we teach it to our others, and then the environment itself starts responding to our responsibility. And it becomes this mystical experience. It's always been that mystical experience. Now let's just tune back into what it's always been and always will be. As hard as the so-called elite and Illuminati are trying with their so-called AI systems and all this frequency wars and shit, they already know they failed. Like they know they failed. It's like, it was like watching the Boston Celtics this week speak after the Golden State Warriors beat them hard in Game 5 going into Game 6. And then you heard the Warriors talking and you heard from their speech, they knew the words to say and the vibrational frequency and what it took to win the championship. And the Celtics, which is a young team that doesn't have the experience that the championship Warriors had, comes in, but you could hear from the speech of their star players, key words that Master Yoda said, there is no try. When Master Yoda told Luke Skywalker there's no try. So when you hear a high-level athlete, you'd be like, we're going to try our hardest to win tomorrow. That's all I can say. There's no quit in this team. We're going to try our hardest. Like, oh man, that ain't, like that's affirming that you're going to try your hardest. That ain't affirming the victory. But when you heard Steph or Clay or Draymond or whoever, because they know the codes, they know some metaphysics of this. Steve Kerr, Phil Jackson, like these guys taught their players, metaphysics of how to approach basketball. Phil Jackson wrote a book. I haven't read it, but I should read it sometime, called The Zen of Basketball. They're passing on these metaphysics to their players, and their players know how to speak the reality into existence, and so they do. Does it always work the way you plan? No, and this is where surrender comes in. And this is why I move away from the ways of the world and the Barnes and Noble and the laws of attraction and The Secret and all of that. Although it's good information to have, it's limited information. It will keep them at a certain level, because really those who really open, and I'm not saying that anybody in the NBA, Steph Curry, I don't know what, he's a mystic to me. I watch him and I see a mystical human being. The way he moves and shoots the basketball, it's like you weren't even supposed to, it looks so unorthodox. Like nobody would have ever taught somebody how to shoot a basketball until he comes along and he's just shooting these weird shots and these weird angles, and the ball's just going in better than anybody's ever put a ball in a basket from shooting in the history of the game. Like basketball is shooting, the greatest shooter of all time knows the angles, knows the arcs, knows all of this, knows the body, knows the mechanics, knows the magnetics and all of that, just all this shit happening at once. And then he goes through an internal process with his belief in God and all that. So I'm not saying that the NBA players themselves are limited. What I'm saying is that you can stay at a championship mentality. That's fine. But when you really want to rise up, when we really start talking about the real mystical powers, it ain't about winning awards. It ain't about winning championships. It comes into real true responsibility and real true sovereignty of, we have to build a city that looks nothing like anywhere else in the world. We are a free people, a new people called hip hop. And we have to create hip-hopia through our resounding nature, through our reviving nature, through our reverberatory nature, through what we speak, think, and feel into existence, and the actions we take as well. Don't just speak it, act upon it. Take action, perform action. And once we start, well, we're already doing it collectively. It's already in motion, and the motion cannot be stopped by any outside force or in an internal force, because we are the sovereign beings of our internal being connected with God. And that's where the surrender comes in, and this is where we move beyond the championships and the awards and all of that world. The world's, the top of the world is still the bottom of heaven. A World NBA championship is the top of the world. That's the bottom of heaven. This is why the teacher says he's got all these gold, platinum plaques, and he says they're garbage. They're literally garbage. They take a record that was defective out of the garbage can, that's trash. They spray paint it gold, put it in something like this, and give it to somebody and say, you sold 1 million records. Here's a piece of trash for you. Okay? And so what he does is he's got all these top of the world awards that they're part of his archive. They're wonderful. I think they're great pieces for, the art effects to prove that he was who he said he was. But, they sit inside of a storage unit. What's the real work? Well, that would be the gospel of hip hop. But even beyond that, that's the actual inspiration that is in the hearts of those who hear the word of God. That's what it's all about. It's all about the God force within us. And that's the real truth right there. And then that is where we start. That's where the surrender to God comes in. So we say, I want to visualize it this way. Visualize it, but allow God to be the one with the visualization. God is creating through us, with us, as us. And that's where the reverence and the responsibility comes in. God wants to create something through me. Why don't I surrender to God then? Why don't I have an internal speech? I feel self-hatred right now. I feel anxiety and fear right now. Well, I am a sovereign being, and my sovereign heavenly Father is within me, counseling me, showing me, empowering me to say things inside of myself that will only reverberate out, and then I can speak them out. Let's read from the Gospel of Hip Hop. That was deep. This is a deep lesson. I had a feeling it was going to be deep this week. And I knew it would be deep this week, so I pulled out this. I usually don't read from this copy. This is my original copy. And I don't want stuff to start falling out of it. I got all kinds of notes and papers and, Can you see that? See that picture of the teacher and the light there? Yeah. You know what? Amici, all kinds of stuff in there. Whoever receives this after I leave, this is an art effect. This is a sacred book right here. This is Zin Uru's hidden notes and hidden meanings and everything here. I'm like the Mayan. Welcome to the evolution, right? This was a mystical experience getting this book. Remember, this was an idea that came into the physical reality, okay? An idea that came into the physical reality. We had to have faith. We prayed over this. We visualized this. I used to feel this book in my hand before this book was in my hand. Do I have I don't have it here. I have a paperback Kinko's version. I keep it in my archive that I used to hold in my hand and then visualize this. And I used to just sit there seeing myself hand this to other people. And now it's like sold out. Like you can't even, good luck finding one of these. You got to pay top dollar now. We used to get them for $12 from the manufacturer and sell them for 25 or 20 or give them away. We used to just hand these out all over the place. And now this is a rare book, very rare. So, the original printing of the Gospel of Hip Hop, and this one is one of the most valuable ones on earth. This right here is Zin Uru's personal book. Do you know how valuable this is in the future? Do you have any idea? This is invaluable. This is a sacred artifact in the future right here. This is Zin Uru's book with all these little pieces in it, and just incredible writings. And look at that. There's my ticket to, this was January 8th, 2005. when I saw the teacher perform with Cool Mo D, Cool Herc, Busy Bee, Grandmaster Kaz, Lemert Park, the Project Blowed was there, Medusa, all of LA was there, LA City Breakers, and then January 9, 2005 was the roundtable discussion. Anyways, that's the mystical experience right there. But let's read now. I'm going to pop open, I'll put up here on the screen, and you could turn to page 286, paragraph 25. And this is in the fifth overstanding, the inner city. Of course, this is from the Gospel of Hip Hop, presented to the Temple of Hip Hop by the teacher, KRS-One. And I am a recognized intellectual and spiritual contributor to the Gospel of Hip Hop. I'd really like the gospel words to speak to your heart today. I'm not going to give much commentary here because everything I said today is commentary based on this right here. And this is really just a message to you. This is God's message to you today, in this time, in this space. Like most who are instructed by God to do a seemingly impossible task, God seems to be urging you to act upon your true purpose despite your fears and doubts. It seems to be the time for courage. This seems to be the year for God to become more real in your life because only gods are attracted to God. Only divine people are attracted to the things of the divine. Regardless of your artistic or academic self-expression, you are a divine being. It's time to stop being what everyone else thinks you should be and be who you know you are. Remember, the universe is exact. There are no mistakes. You are hearing this word now because it is time for you to hear this word now. You are the light of your world. You are being called to help others because you have the power to help others. Others don't have the abilities that you have, just as you don't have the abilities they have. Your ability is God, and it's time that you start being it. People ask you to help them because they believe that you can. They feel that you can. People don't ask those who they feel are helpless to help them. People don't ask the powerless to empower them. People are asking for your help because they know that you can help them. So why not join in on their faith in you and express more faith in yourself? Everyone can see your aura, your character, and your reputation clearer than you can. It is you who doubts you. Everyone else believes in what they feel about you until you say or act otherwise. So what are you affirming to yourself and others? Nobody's perfect. I ain't nobody special. I can't. I don't. I hate, etc. You know, this is important right here. You know, it's all important, but this right here, this is for the MCs out there. And for anybody creating right now, painting, whatever your artistic or intellectual expression is at this time, whatever your expression is, and whoever you are. You know, the only difference between a demo recording and a master recording is your interpretation of what has been recorded. What do you feel about your own being and self-expression? What do you believe you are capable of? Don't call yourself a demo, you're a master. See yourself, yes I. This is the year that you make the inner you the outer you. For your own survival, you must believe more in your inner reality than in your outer circumstances. Let's say that again. For your own survival, you must believe more in your inner reality than in your outer circumstances. You are clearly the light of your world, the savior of your home, the teacher of your neighborhood. Even when you don't see how you can help, your very involvement or attention towards others creates solutions that didn't even exist before. And this is the challenge. You are a healer by nature. However, it is not your intellect that heals. It is your loving presence, your time, your attention, your care that heals. You're wanting to comfort another, to selflessly give attention to what someone else is going through, to help others along their way and realize their goals. These acts shall rise you up and actualize your own purpose successfully, because blessings come through you, not to you. See that, say that, know that. Blessings come through you, not to you. And this is where our giving nature is, my nobility. The more you are giving, the more you shall be receiving. The more you love and care, the more you will be loved and cared for. The more peace you provide to others, the more peace God shall provide to you. But remember, cats are cats by nature and dogs are dogs by nature. Those who seek certain professions and fields of life do so out of their very nature, and so it is with you. Your thirst for truth is evidence of your nature. Use it. Your ability to care for others unconditionally is evidence of your true nature. Use it. Your yearning for the presence of God is evidence as to what your true nature really is. Use it. Your only challenge is doubt. Therefore, your only strength is faith. Believe in yourself. Be and live in your inner self. You have help in places that you have not even touched upon yet. Search yourself. You are not alone. You have a divine power that only you can express for others. For if you do not express your divinity, the people of your world suffer. If you don't express this divinity, my nobility, the people in your world will suffer. This is a great responsibility. This is where reverence is. Remember, if you go to a person that you believe is a doctor and that person refuses to heal you, you suffer. If you go to a person that you believe is an attorney and that person refuses to defend or argue for your rights, you suffer. I had that happen. The point is that people are suffering today because many divine people simply don't believe that they are divine and capable of divine work. The activity of the world overwhelms them. For divine people like you, there's nothing special about yourself or your life circumstances. For you, little miracles happen often, but they are normal to you, so you don't celebrate your divinity. Plus, many divine people keep their divinity to themselves or turn their spiritual light down so that others are not uncomfortable around them. It's time for all of this to change. It's time for God's people to stand up. Evil and suffering occurs in the world when divine people ignore their divinity, their responsibilities. Others cannot do what we can do. That's why it's not being done. We must get to work quickly. You are the Savior of your world. You have a tremendous responsibility to promote health, love, awareness, and wealth to your people with your hip-hop existence and activity in the world. That's the key, your hip-hop existence and activity in the world. Acts of kindness and assistance, acts of mercy and forgiveness, disattachment from the material world, mentoring, charity, trustworthiness, commitment, responsibility, etc. are all acts of holiness, and each act strengthens and proves your own divinity. These repeated acts of holiness eventually become the habits of your life, and after a while, you have no choice in any situation but to habitually act from this place of holiness and care for life and freedom. And this is where your frustration with others began. You have become habitually addicted to the ways of the Spirit, yet others have not. When others habitually react physically and carnally to physical and carnal situations, you have been habitually compelled to react spiritually to physical and carnal situations, and such habitual actions have not been easy for you in the material world around material-minded people. But hold on. You are entering your inner city. Even though certain outcomes have not always worked out in your favor, and even though you've been embarrassed and cheated and lied about, and even though it has been lonely and unfair for you, even though you've done what was right, while others enjoyed their wickedness. Behold, you have defied the world and its many temptations with your habitual right actions motivated by the will of your spirit. And now it is time to receive your reward, the crown of life. Such a habit of righteousness eventually creates a reality that we call the inner city, where the physical world and its material conditions seem to act in accordance with your will. Your physical, spiritual, and mental surroundings seem to walk and talk with you. Everything seems to work in your favor. The good, the bad, the faithful, and the fearful, the victories, the setbacks, and the so-called defeats all seem to work in your collective favor. All of it works out to your collective favor. You see it. All the so-called defeats, all the so-called evil, all the so-called wickedness, all the so-called setbacks, all the so-called mistakes, all of that has somehow worked out into your favor. How could that be if it's not for a mystical experience of something greater that we must give reverence to, we call God? God is looking out for us. The evil of the world cannot, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. None of it. All of their evil intentions, none of it. It's empowering us. I had this story. Somebody told me this story, right? This is incredible. This is just how God works. This person was seeking psychic advice and had heard about somebody who was a really good psychic on Instagram. Like they give readings, psychic readings. And so they reached out to the person and gave him for a week was getting this psychic reading work with these prayers and things done. And they were he was having great effects. He's like, these prayers are working. This psychic's really in tune, but they're just communicating through text. And so I'm hearing this story. I'm like, okay, what happened? And then what happened was that they found another page that was the person they thought they were talking to, their real page that said that there was a bunch of fake psychic pages masquerading as them. And so, dude, sorry, bro, I'm putting you out there, but I won't say the name. Dude was paying a fake psychic, but getting good advice in return. He was telling me some of the prayers. I was like, this shit's deep. I could use that. and there it happened. And it was such a conundrum at the end. We were talking. I was just like, we both came to the conclusion, this is God. You sought an answer from the universe and the universe responded. Even though the psychic turned out to be a fraud, God ain't a fraud and the information was not fraudulent. Now, this ain't dismissing the liar and the deception and all of that. This ain't dismissing their behavior. That's their karma. But look at the karma of Homie. Homie's karma was so good that even when being deceived, even when being lied to, even when being misused, and he's giving out money, even with all of that, the lie, the truth is still coming through. God has spoken the truth that was bound to get to him, and that was the only way it could get to him. So what? Okay. So you can go to school and learn from a lie or learn from the lies they're promoting in school. You can watch a movie with an agenda but get a higher truth out of it. You can live in the world, be in the world but not of the world. You can look at the world circumstances and gain the wisdom and the truth that God has. This is where real hip-hop comes in. This is where the environment starts creating. It's like, I see an ugly gray wall. People say that's an ugly gray wall, but no, I see a mural. I see the most colorful mural that any artist's hand has ever created. I'm gonna take a spray paint cans and outdo Michelangelo. For real. Michelangelo, who painted the Sistine Chapel, will look at modern day graffiti art and be blown away and have no idea how they did that. That's how impressive it is. That's how beautiful it is at its highest level. That's how beautiful and impressive you are at your highest level. How beautiful and impressive all of us are at our highest level. And the deceivers and the liars and the manipulators and the narcissists and the karma takes care of them. Okay? It's not, you might have to say something or do something or stand up to the evil ones, you know. Dude had to call the person out and be like, yo, I can't believe you deceived me. Reported into Instagram, had the face thing removed, but he couldn't get his money back. But you know what? He didn't need the money back because it came back in a prayer that God brought to him and was useful for the insight and his personal growth. And my nobility, this is where transmutation takes place. This is where whatever evil is thrown out, we turn into good. We just transmute evil into good. We are the light. So it's not like the light turns on and has to struggle against the darkness. The light comes out and it's just not dark. It's not a struggle. It's not a battle. There's no battle between light and dark. There's a symbology, and we kind of understand the battle of good and evil, light and dark. We kind of have an idea, but we can get past these ideas, we can get past these symbols and really get, you know, more to the heart of the matter. And this is a great ending right here. It's the mystical experience. And when you have it, and what the gospel of hip-hop was saying is you turn into the inner you, and when outer circumstances and these things get hard and you turn to the inner, you seek God's guidance, you seek, you know, you go within to the spirit and you enter into the spirit realm, into your inner city to find those answers and to move and to be, you know, inspired from within or inspired by the spirit, because the spirit can inspire from without as well. But you're looking to God for the inspiration. You're seeking something greater than the world for the inspiration. And then that inspiration shows up. And you'll be around people who are carnally minded, who are thinking about the world. And they even have your best intentions at times. What do you mean you're going to quit your job? You're my son, and all I've wanted for you was to have a house and be able to raise a family and for me to teach you. And now you want to do what? You want to go on a spiritual walk? And what? That doesn't even make sense. Okay? And over time, and I'll say this from my own experience, over time, those who love you will be with you. Maybe at the beginning or through certain stages, a couple of years, I don't know how long it takes, but you know, sometimes those people but if they really love you, they'll see the results in your life when you're on that spiritual path and you surrender more and more to the spiritual path. Remember, it's a place, it's not a place we go to, it's a place we grow to. So we're growing every day. Every day you're growing into that space, into that place. And the carnally minded, we've been raised to be carnally minded. We've been conditioned. We've been domesticated in public schools to be carnally minded. Even in a lot of religious institutions, it's carnally minded. You don't think seeing Jesus hanging up on a cross, that's carnal. They're celebrating and only thinking about this guy getting stabbed and bloodied. I mean, you know, like, yeah, it's a tragic story that he got crucified, but people get crucified by evil governments every day. Martin Luther King was crucified. He was shot with a rifle. He was murdered by capital punishment by the government. The United States government, Rome, murdered Martin Luther King. You know, do we celebrate the bullet and wear a copy of the rifle that Martin Luther King got shot with? And like, and then somebody's like, why do you have that rifle necklace? Oh, this is the rifle that shot Martin Luther King. Well, you know, it's the same thing with Jesus with the cross. I'm not, you know, some people wear the cross and it's a different meaning for them, but I'm just saying, it's Roman capital punishment. Would we celebrate the capital punishment of Martin Luther King by wearing a rifle around our neck? You know, I'm just saying. That's the carnal minded, and then the crucifix and seeing Jesus hanging in agony, when that was only a matter of what? A few hours in his life for the eternal with Christ? What does a few hours of Jesus' life matter to him? I'm sure it mattered while it was happening, but it sure didn't matter while it was leading up to it, because he was just wilding out. So he knew it was coming. He knew it was coming. He told him it was coming. He saw that it was coming. Walked into it anyways because he knew it was only temporary. And then he rose again, the resurrection. They just talked about the mysteries. Like literally, the definitions of mysteries is the life of Jesus. Like literally, the literal definition in the American Heritage Dictionary of the word mystery, the life of Jesus is the literal definition of mystery, of the mysteries, of what it means to be mysterious, of what the mystery is. And so why celebrate the carnal? Why celebrate that? You know? Is it death and condemnation or life and resurrection? What's the story of Jesus? Death and condemnation or life and resurrection? Well, we know it's life and resurrection. What's the story of Martin Luther King? Death by bullet or the promised land? No, it's the promised land. We don't celebrate the carnal life of Martin Luther King. We don't remember the carnal life of Martin Luther King. Remember the spiritual life of Martin Luther King. And the carnal life dies with the body. The spirit of the body is the spirit of the being is what lives on. So we can look and judge and say, oh, look at that person, and look at the carnal things they did, and you know, the whole book that they wrote about Martin Luther King and the affairs he had on his wife. It's like, yeah, that was his carnal self, but his carnal self is what's no more. The spirit of who he is alive and well, and an ancestor, and speaking with us, and we're living in his living word. So the carnal crucifixion of the Christ, that doesn't define the Christ. That's just something it's part of the definition. It's part of the story, an important part, an integral part, but the whole story is not the death, it's the life. So your whole story, your whole being, it's not about the hardships. It's not about the dark days. It's not about being deceived. It's not about the pain. It's not about the suffering. It's not about the not knowing. It's about the tree that springs forward. It's about the life that springs forward. It's about the hip-hop that springs forward. It's the intelligent movement springing forward out of us. And that's what makes us hip-hop. And that's what makes the mystical inner city the ultimate experience. And I invite you to tune into what you already have with you. I'm not telling you something you don't already know that you haven't already experienced. Just start writing down or taking mental notes and just start praying over your younger self. We're going to close with this. We talk about praying over our younger selves. Okay? We talk about we become our own guardian angels. So take some time this week. This will really help your growth, and this will really help speed up the process. Take some time this week, write it out, draw it out, rap about it, or just mental notes and meditate on those mystical experiences you have as a kid that you think you may have forgotten, but they're really there. There's some powerful mystical experience that it's just not right in front of you right now, but if you just go within, you're gonna remember those mystical experiences you've had, those supernatural, unexplainable events that you've had in your life. And for some of us, we just know there are so many of them, like the whole thing, it's all it is. When I go to Trader Joe's, it's a mystical, mysterious experience. When I go and mow the lawn, it's a mystical, mysterious experience. When I go for a long drive, when I'm taking notes, when I'm on the phone, when I'm helping my pops, whatever it is, it's really a mystery. It's the great mystery. It's the kingdom of heaven. It's Hippopia everywhere. And it's everywhere, my nobility. It is here, right now, with you, where you are at. And there it is in peace, love, unity, safely having fun, health, love, awareness, and wealth, peace and prosperity. Go forward empowered with the mystical inner city. Grab that mic and spit hip hop is the promised land. And there it is.